I go?
Yes, go. It's recording. Let's clap. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hello, welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode, wonderful episode of Player 2 Podcast with me, your host, Jalk. With me are Cat and Sak. Welcome. How are you all doing today?
Welcome.
Doing good.
Doing fantastic.
It's a beautiful day.
Before we get into our main topic of today, let's talk about a little bit of the upcoming games that are coming out soon, and some that are still not announced when they're going to come out, but are supposed to come out sometime this year. I have a game in mind, but let's see what you guys got.
Well, I'm going to talk about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I think me and Kat kind of like really looking forward to this. It did get delayed till April 28th, which is basically
practically May.
Yeah, it's basically May, right? Why it's like, okay, if we're gonna delay it, let's delay it till May 31st. That's basically June then, right? So
Yeah.
why not just put it in May? I don't understand that. Anyway, so yeah, it got released. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. It was supposed to come
Same.
out this month, like last week or something.
Yeah, the 16th, I think, was the date.
Yeah, so all right, so it was supposed to come out 16th then?
Yeah.
Shoot. All right. So then
Whatever their reasoning is, though, I'm sure it's a good one. And if it's not ready yet, we'll wait till it's ready because it's going to be a good game.
I'm pretty sure
100%.
they're trying to iron out all the bugs and everything. The first game was good. It looked good. I think I played like maybe an hour of it and I stopped.
My gosh.
I never finished it.
My worry is that, Zelda also comes out in May. And so that gives me a very small window to be able to play Star Wars. So I don't know now if I'm going to play Star Wars before Zelda or not. But in the meantime, I still have Hogwarts. I'm enjoying. It's gotten a little laggy for me lately, hard on my computer. But
Really?
I'm still enjoying the gameplay of it. And I'm hoping that I know I did a driver update and that helped a little bit. So I'm like only 40% through that game. So it gives me more time to play Hogwarts, but it's going to make things complicated when it comes to Zelda or Star Wars. I don't know which one I'm going to play first.
I'm still surprised that with a couple of patches out now for Hogwarts, it's still kind of a little laggy for you. I'll be honest, since we recorded the last episode, I still have not touched that game. Last played was 21st of February, so it's been a minute. So I haven't touched it. I guess I don't know what I'm waiting for. I just have been busy playing Assassin's Creed still. I've been playing Valhalla, so when I picked it up, I remember I talked about I picked up every single DLC of that game because I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I think I'm about 75% done, and I'm about 150 hours in.
Wow.
It's going to be... And I like to explore. That game is beautiful. So, but the game that I wanted to talk about that's upcoming, that does not have a release date yet, according to Ubisoft, is Assassin's Creed Mirage. I'm kind of looking forward to that because, so we haven't seen any gameplay footage. There's a cinematic trailer out, which you can see right now. But the cinematics always look amazing. And the main character is Basim. And Basim was introduced in Valhalla and when he's a little older, but this is set in the previous time from where he is. He's from Iraq, and this is set in Baghdad in the 9th century. And it's supposedly going to be a lot of fun. The one thing I can say is that the game is beautiful. It looks beautiful, but cinematics are always, cinematics. And
was the main character from the one in Valhalla?
Yeah, so Eivor is the main character in Valhalla, but Basim has a side role. But Basim is like with the hidden ones, which is the assassins or assassins, but he's the main character in the next game. But it's set in the past before the game. So I'm kind of excited about that because I know the game will be beautiful. I'm just looking forward to that game. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to put a lot of hours into it.
Now, is that a game that when you play it, you shut everything else off? You're not in a voice channel with others. You're just enjoying it solo for the story?
Well, yes, because see, the thing is, there are a lot of cinematics in the game. Then you talk to people, and when we're in Discord and people are talking, and I kind of have to focus.
Distracted.
So, I easily get distracted. I have ADHD, and I can't. Like, I have to focus on the game. And one thing, Ubisoft, if you're watching this, we're an upcoming podcast. If you'd like to send a copy to one of your biggest fans, that would be really nice. All right, that's my piece right there. All right, back to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I seen you stream it for me a couple times, and I like seeing the visual aspects of the environment and stuff. It reminds me. I know I've said this to you personally before, but it reminds me of like how we used to play Red Dead and stuff. How
Mhm.
the environment was so immersive, right? And I really like that about that game. But I never really got into the storyline of Assassin's Creed. So if I have to start it, I'd have to start,
Yeah.
From
from the
the
game
beginning.
back. Yeah.
Well, you just missed the sale, man. I mean, I've played every single one of them other than the two that were buggy, laggy, broken. The one that came
Well,
out in
you'll
succession and
be
nobody liked.
disappointed with me. I actually have Valhalla, but on Switch. And for some
Mm.
reason, it made me nauseous to play it. And
What?
this happens with so many games. The
Oh wow.
movements, the blur, motion blur, I have to turn all that off. And sometimes still they make me a little nauseous. But that was on the Switch. So maybe if I played
Yeah.
it on PC, maybe it would be better because you have more, I feel like, settings options
Yes,
There's
in PC
definitely
absolutely.
gaming.
I've had that problem also on the Nintendo before where I've gotten nauseous with a game, but not
Really?
on the PC. And I'm wondering if it's like a refresh rate issue or if it's something else.
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't understand what it is.
Well, let's move on to one of the most important topics that has been discussed previously among gaming community, and something that we thought would be a great addition to our podcast. And we've been talking about it amongst ourselves, and we thought this would be a great addition for this episode. And that is the cost of video games, the history behind it, how they have increased over the course of time. Some agree, some don't disagree. I mean, some don't disagree would be the incorrect term. Some don't agree, and how that has gone. Should we go on to statistics, or should we talk about this a little bit more? What do you guys think?
I mean, we could set it up where we talk about the history of like
Okay.
how much goes into a game, right?
I
Okay.
agree because
And
I don't know much about that. So you can teach me some things.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, you have to pay the developer, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
developer, they're the people who actually make the game, right?
Yes.
Then you have to pay testers to test the game, look for bugs, glitches, and
Yep.
that stuff. Then you have to pay all these other things. So, IP, which is intellectual property,
Yes.
patents, uh,
Publishers.
marketing. Well, yeah, publishers also obviously,
Yeah.
um, and all these things come to the cost of making the game itself,
Yeah.
right? Um, now, I think a lot of it has changed over time. Back in the day, like we were talking before, Jack,
Yeah.
a lot of the games were very small,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't have like a big budget. So a lot of them were kind of like either made by Nintendo, like a big publisher already, or
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were indie games. And but they still weren't being like massively produced like
Not
they are.
like today.
Now
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have celebrities
Yeah,
in
now
a
you
lot
Yes.
of games, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure that that's
Voice actors,
a
actual
huge factor.
representation. The guy
Yeah.
from that one show that plays the main character in Star Wars as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
on Shameless, I
yeah.
think.
Well,
Oh,
Yeah.
Cal Kestis?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh,
uh,
really?
I did
Yeah.
not know his name, but
Yeah.
I think Zach, you collected some statistical data, and we also did some polls. So we targeted 3 different gaming discords. One of them is the one where we hang out the most, which is FFS. One of our friends over at Nerd Herd, who we introduced in the last episode. That's also a gaming community. And the third community that we targeted is MVG, which is Military Veteran Gamers. It's a charity Discord which has the goal of healing through gaming. It's basically comprised of veterans in active duty of United States Armed Forces and our NATO allies. So we conducted polls in 3 different locations, and I think Zach, you collected how much percentage we got for each answer. I think the
Yeah,
first
so we
question.
basically
Yeah.
asked 2 questions,
Mhm.
and the main questions were does it bother me that the cost has gone up, or does it not bother me much?
Yeah.
Like, so the first answer was, it does bother me.
Hmm.
Um, we got 68% that people said, hey,
Hmm.
I
Okay.
think it's not cool. And 32% said, it's okay. They weren't totally okay with it maybe, but
Didn't
they were
prevent them
fine
from
enough,
gaming.
right?
Yeah.
They understood the reasoning. So right there, I think you could say the majority of people are not comfortable with the rising prices of games, right? And we can go more into depth of why
Yeah.
that is so. The second question was, do you buy the games full price, or do you like wait for sales or discounts of some sort?
Yeah.
And 40% said that they buy it full price
Okay.
outright. 60% said they wait for the sales. So I think that's kind of like, you can kind of see the correlation
Yeah.
between, hey, it bothers me that there's costs going up, and so now that the costs are going up, I'm waiting for sales.
Yeah.
and and,
Yeah.
and that's
So,
definitely, you see that through those, just those three Discord statistics that we did, right?
so what do
um
you guys think? I mean, how do you feel about it? Does the price going up bother you? Does it
So it
prevent
does.
sales?
Yeah, it does. So, just look at 5 years ago, and we'll dive more into data here, but just look at 5 years ago when you bought a new game, and you just had one game. Now, well, that was more than 5 years ago, but you had standard. You just had one edition of the game that would come out, and then you had the deluxe edition. Now there's the standard, the deluxe, the gold, the deluxe with
Skins
annual
and
pass, season pass. You've got so
all the
many versions
cosmetics.
of a game now that,
yeah,
hey, if you don't get this, you miss out on. So I understand that publishers are trying to make money, and the business model is for profit. They're not giving away games for charity, but at the same time, uh, the cost of just a standard game has gone up. Like, look at it. Like, $49.99 used to be the price of a game, and $39.99 now it's easily $60. $59.99 is regular price of a game, so it's gone up by $10. Let's say in the past
Yeah.
5-6 years. So it
Now
has
they're
gone up.
pushing the envelope to 70.
Yeah, they're pushing
yeah,
the envelope
Yeah.
to 70, but we also have to realize their target market has increased exponentially over the
for
past
sure,
just 3 years. Like,
for
we talked
sure.
about the pandemic, and we talked
Hmm.
about how many consoles were sold. And when we talk about the player base increasing, that's also them trying to increase the amount of profit that they generate, which is increasing the price of games.
Yeah,
And yeah, but most of the time, yeah, it does bother me.
Yeah, for me, the price of games in general have kind of bothered me and influenced my buying, um, uh, habits.
Yeah,
So, like,
hmm,
if I see a game that I really want, let's say Star Wars, I might have to dish out. If I want to play that game right now, I
yeah,
probably would dish out because I'm a fanboy of Star Wars,
yeah,
right,
right? But if it's a game that I'm excited about, but I'm not super excited about, like, I'm not like
right. You're willing
invested
to
yeah,
into it.
wait.
I'm willing
Hmm.
to wait. Yeah, for sure. Because I'm like, well, why? I don't really need it. It's not a need.
hmm,
Um, Even though I am a gamer, I still am like, okay, well, I can wait this out till it goes on sale, and then I'll enjoy it then.
Yeah,
I just won't
absolutely.
have that initial reaction to everything. I won't be,
hmm,
playing with everybody else at that time.
yeah. And that's how I am too. I mean, that's how Hogwarts was. I was watching everyone play, and then I ended up getting a gifted copy from a friend, which was
Nice.
very nice. Yes, but I've never paid much attention to the price of games. I do now because I'm budgeting differently these days than in prior
Yes,
years, and I'm definitely willing to wait on a game. And sometimes though, I will be excited and I'll say I'm going to wait, and then I end up not getting it because another game comes along that's maybe more affordable.
absolutely.
So it definitely affects the games that I buy and when I buy them.
No, I
So
agree
we're
with
Right.
you. It all depends on the game. Like,
yeah.
Sak, you said you're a fanboy of Star Wars. It's the same thing with me.
Hmm.
When Mirage comes out, I'm probably going to buy it full price. But most of other games, right? I'll always wait for sales. Like, if
Yeah.
there's a game, uh, recently we were playing SnowRunner together. I did not pick up that game at full price. I waited for the sale for the game. It's not something that I know that I'll be enjoying as much as I would enjoy some of the games that I would be
Mhm.
really a big fan of. So I waited for a good sale for that game, then I picked it up and I enjoyed it, and now I'm done with it. Like I don't know if I'm gonna play that game anymore. Probably will, probably will not. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with both of you on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. Exactly. uh, I think though you were mentioning something before about um, how the price of games have been going up and pushing the envelope of 70, and you were talking about how the amount of people are playing, like there's a bigger pool
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
your market. And that's definitely something that we should mention. I was trying to find statistics of how many
Okay.
gamers there were a long time ago, and I just couldn't find a lot. Only in the last like 5 years, I found statistics. And right now in the U.S., according to 2022
Mm-hmm.
um, statistics in the U.S., there's 250 million
Oh wow.
gamers.
Wow.
That's a lot, and if you like calculate that against our own population in the U.S., that's
Yeah.
way over half, right? We have something like 350 million or something like
Yeah.
that. And that's a lot. That's a
But
lot of players.
is that by person or is that by number of consoles sold? Because if you look at that, then one
Yeah, that's
person can have
true.
multiple consoles in the
Multiple.
household too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look on. I got the information from the Entertainment Software Association's
Okay.
website,
Mm.
and I'm thinking that they're saying like how many people are actually
Okay.
playing.
All right.
Uh,
That's
if I'm
interesting data though.
mistaken, I'll redact that. But
No, fair
I
enough.
mean, I also got another statistics that there's
Okay.
3.24 billion gamers across
Oh
the
wow.
whole world, and
That's
that's I was like, wow,
yeah,
that's a
that's
lot of people.
That's a
less than
lot.
half of the population of the world, but still that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
That's
I mean,
that like
think about
yeah.
like countries that don't have access to
Yeah.
even a lot of these things, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
Mhm.
live in a privileged society. So, of
Absolutely.
course, we have a lot of leisure. But even countries that don't have a lot of leisure, there are gamers there, right? I think
Yeah.
that's so crazy. The average gamer is 35 years old, which makes
That's
me
not
feel
surprising.
that makes me
Listen, that
feel a
makes
lot better.
It gets better
listen,
as we get
that
older.
makes sense because us millennials,
Yeah.
that's well, me and I think are you a
I'm
millennial
Yeah.
too, Kat?
Yeah, I
Yeah, but I know
Maybe.
me and
Maybe.
Zach are millennials, and the whole video game industry started when we were young. So, well,
right, yeah.
we were really young when it
We think
all
we take all
started.
this credit for it, but
So,
the vision had been had
yeah,
already.
the vision had
Right.
been had. So,
Yeah.
the average, I agree with that. Average gamer is 35, but you have a lot more like younger audience too, especially like look at my kids, like much younger. Look at Zach's
Yeah.
kids, significantly younger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Zach's
So,
kids will be the
uh,
next generation of Fortnite.
oh
Uh,
god.
which I have no shame in that game being the one probably I
I've
play the
never played.
most.
So my
Ah,
6-year-old is kicking some 40-year-old guy's butt all over Fortnite right now, probably.
Nice.
love it.
So back to let's say Nintendo, the NES, right?
Yeah.
When that came out in 1985, close to where I was born,
Yeah.
that came out at $179.
Oh well.
But if you put that in today's cost, that would be $432.
Okay. With inflation
So
numbers and everything.
exactly.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I think that kind of evens out. Like if you were to go to the store and pick up a Switch, it would
Yeah.
be about $400. Plus, you'd have
Yeah.
to buy the extra controller, which is another $70. So
The
it's kind of
games.
on target of when it first came out.
Yeah.
Now, the average game cost back then was
Yeah.
45. Now, if you put it in today's dollars, that's $108, and that's a significant game
It's
price.
more. Yeah.
Um, However, that goes back to what you were saying
Yeah.
about the game market pool. So we have a lot more players. So the game prices should be less
Mm-hmm.
in sense. Because if they're selling not just 1 million copies, they're selling like 100 million copies.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that number out there. That
Yeah.
doesn't actually
This is
exist.
hypothetical, all hypothetical. Yeah.
It's hypothetical a number, but like if you're selling a lot more copies, you can sell it at a smaller price to get still
Absolutely.
make a lot profit, right?
Yep.
Well, yeah, in theory, but also I don't know. I think about it is the quality of the games have gotten so much better, and I'm sure that costs money.
Oh,
So
100%.
Oh yeah.
maybe, them selling more means that they could sell them for cheaper, yes, but they may be putting that money into other things that make the overall experience better. That's just one thought that I have with it. And then there's so many more options now too. So there's
Yeah.
so much more competition because now
Absolutely.
you can have the streaming service that we taught, like what we talked about the other day, and maybe you don't buy the game, but you use the streaming service. I prefer to own the games and
No, I
keep them
agree.
forever.
No.
But I do think
Yeah.
about that and the cast of the games and I'm sure there's so much work that goes into it that I could never understand just because I don't know that side of
I
gaming.
mean,
I
Oh
just
yeah,
turn on a
100%.
computer and hit play.
look at it this way, right? You had a target audience of hypothetically a million. Now you have a target audience of a billion people. So, the million and a billion is a big thing. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
had primarily NES competing with Sega in back in the day, the Genesis versus the Nintendo. And then you've got the Xbox, the PlayStation. Initially, they had exclusive games, but most exclusive games are becoming, well, there's still some specific very exclusive games, but most
From
games are
Sony
becoming more
mostly.
cross-platform. There's certain games that you can only find still on PlayStation, certain games you can
Yeah.
find mainly on Xbox, but a lot more games you find on PC. And there's some games
Yeah.
like Zelda is exclusive to Nintendo, regardless of what platform you're on. You have to have a Switch to play that game.
Yes. I think it's always been like a huge rift between Sony and Nintendo because
Mm.
that PlayStation came out in 95 and I
Yeah.
got it in 95. My dad worked at like an electronics company and so he was able to get me
Oh, nice.
this. Yeah. So
Privilege.
it came out in 95. Let's look at the numbers. It says it came out for $300.
Okay.
Today's dollars, that's 509. How much is a PS5 now?
I think it's it's $500. I think if you get, I haven't bought a console in a minute, so I would say, I think
Go ahead.
$499, $399, and $499 are the prices of, I think, if you get the digital download version or the disc version. I think.
So
Please correct
that's
me if
not
I'm
a
wrong on that.
that seems like it's on par.
Yeah.
And the game cost, 1995 was $50. Today's dollars would be 84. So slight increase on that.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I don't
I
think I've
would
ever
say
bought a console brand new, even with consoles or computer parts if needed. Sometimes even with that, I'll wait until there's a sale.
sales.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If
Absolutely.
I have
Yeah.
something, if I had nothing, I would go out right now. I don't care how much it costs. If my computer exploded right now, I'd have another one set up
Oh,
within
yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah.
But it's because PC gaming has ruined me.
Yeah, PC gaming does do that to you.
Yeah.
And I build a computer every 3 years. 2 to 3 years is my timeline. 3 years, I'll build it myself. I'll wait for the parts to go on sale. I'll go
Yeah.
one gen behind, but I know that gen is going to be good for another couple of years or 3 years,
Right.
and I'll build it like at probably half the cost of what I would build it previously, minus the graphics card, of course.
So since
But
both of you have had multiple consoles, and I've had
Mhm.
less gaming experience overall than the two of you,
Yeah.
since you've both had multiple consoles, what console did you feel like if you were to buy it today at that 432 or that 509, what do you think was more worth that value?
The Xbox 360. I'll
I
be
did
honest.
love the 360.
So
I
the
loved it.
360 was the console that I used the longest because I didn't have a PC at that time. I had a big
Mhm.
lag. I had a PC prior to that, but I had a big lag and I was, busy with my 20s and I was going
Yeah.
out and about. I was not spending as much time at home as I am today. So I was, out being social, but I had an Xbox 360 that I got, played Skyrim on, played a bunch of Halo games on it. So I think the most money out of any of the consoles that I've owned, I think I got it out of the Xbox 360.
Nice.
I mean, for me, it was a different experience because, like, I mean, I would have to say the first PlayStation. I
Okay.
mean, each individual's experience is gonna be different, but
Oh,
like
for sure.
Absolutely.
like the PlayStation for me was like the best thing in the
Mhm.
world because I was like the coolest kid on the block, like in the whole thing, on my whole side of the town, because I had a PlayStation, and at the time, like to play a game off of a CD was amazing. Like it was
Yeah.
mind blowing at that time. Everybody was using cartridges, right? The
Yeah.
only other
Mhm.
console that had CDs was a 3DO, and that was like such a niche console at that
Yeah.
time. That was like from the 80s, basically. So like just to have a CD to be able to put it into a console and being able to play, it was like
Yeah.
fascinating for us kids back
And
then.
then you would typically get that PlayStation error that said no disc detected, and you would get stuck on
Oh.
that screen that has. And there are plenty of memes about that. That you start your
Yeah,
PlayStation, it doesn't detect the game, and then you're stuck in that loop. All right, I want to come
right. I
back to a
had
little
that
bit.
first gen one too, so
Yeah,
I hear that. But
let's.
like the other thing where I was
Yeah,
gonna say is like the war between Sony and
yeah.
Nintendo was always a thing until Xbox came in.
Hmm.
Xbox started in 2001, so they were like really late to the game, but it was owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
Microsoft is a PC developer,
Yep.
so obviously they have that connection with the PC world. And they came out at 2001 at $300. Today's dollars 438. So it's fair price, and I
Yeah.
think mainly that's because they were competing with Nintendo and Sony. Right, there was basically just those two giants in a room. Their game cost 2001 was $50. Today's cost with inflation that'd be $73,
Okay.
and that's what they're trying to push the envelope to. Is that 70?
Yeah. So, but there's one thing that I will give to the video game industry, that cost of $49.99 stayed
Mm-hmm.
at $49.99 for a
It did,
very
I
long
do remember
time,
that.
yeah.
just to. So I'm not gonna blame them for that. Right now they're increasing the cost, but we have to remember there's a lot more that goes into video game development than that used to go. Like, look at, like we discussed, so many Hollywood celebrities that voice characters. Lance Reddick, who recently
Mhm.
passed away, voiced Zavala in Destiny 2, and players held vigils for him. That's another topic for another day. But
Yeah.
uh, but
Keanu
those
Reeves in
statistics.
Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
and Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk, absolutely. And $49.99 has been the cost of video games forever, and now it's changing.
Yeah.
Do people not like it? Yes, but we also got it comfortable with the norm of that cost, not taking into account that there's a lot more development that goes in video games because the target audience, and there's so many indie developers out now, so many
Mhm.
publishing houses, so many developers now developing their video games, and they have to market it correctly for people to buy their game. Otherwise, they're gonna fail.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like a lot of indie developing games, they can make a great game for a
absolutely,
lot less than these AAA
Oh, yeah,
titles.
for
So
sure.
it brings up the question, like, is this like increase in game prices justified? We
yeah,
have the like one variable being a bigger gaming pool.
yes,
We have, what is it, over 3 billion players in the world now.
Mhm.
yeah,
That's a lot different from when I was a kid, and in the 80s and 90s, there wasn't that big of a pool, so they
absolutely,
can push out more copies. There's also less cost with the distribution. Most
yes,
Mhm.
of our games we buy digitally. We don't
Right.
buy
absolutely,
them on a cartridge. We don't buy them on a CD. That puts, that takes out a middleman. Like you don't go to a Walmart, you don't go to
yes,
Right.
whatever to buy a game. You buy it directly from um, them or through a platform like Steam, Epic,
Mhm.
or
yeah,
like let's say Ubisoft has their own platform or
yeah.
EA has their
They
own
do.
platform.
They
Yeah,
Yeah,
do, yeah.
Ubisoft has their own Ubisoft Connect now, and
exactly.
well, that I agree with you on the digital platform, but you also have to take in account that there's still consoles that use discs, and same with the Switch.
Mhm.
You still buy the
Yeah,
cartridge.
you
You
can.
still,
Yeah.
yeah, you can. You can. I mean, you have the option of digitally downloading it, but to save disk space, because in a
Mhm.
PC, I can easily, like, I have 3 terabytes of space. I can go on ahead, and if I still have a SATA port, I can slap in another couple terabytes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But you
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
do that. yeah, you can insert a cartridge into the Switch. You can add certain things, but you still are limited to capacity as much as you can expand in a PC and consistently digitally download games. You can't do the
Mhm.
same thing in consoles. You still buy discs. But like you said, the pool, right? I think the biggest market, even today, we had what, 250 some million, you said, Zach? The biggest market is in Asia. Like if you just combine Asia, and we talk about in the United States 250, but if you combine all of Asia, the largest continent, 1.5 billion, almost 1.5 billion uh, video game
Video game
players
players.
there.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's a huge market, and
Yeah.
that like even I hear from a couple of Chinese gamers that like there's like a limit of how many hours that they can
Oh
play
yeah.
and stuff. It's so crazy. In
Really?
Yeah.
yeah,
I did
We
not
can't
know
think of that
that.
here because you can
yeah.
wake up and play video
Right.
games all day if you
I mean,
wanted
obviously
to.
we have like
Oh, I
our own
wish.
freedoms and stuff, but like it's so crazy over there. Obviously, they have a huge population, way more
Absolutely.
Yeah.
than America, but yeah, it's nuts how many gamers we actually do have. There is something that we didn't discuss though,
Okay.
and that's the development cost versus
Okay.
the other cost.
Okay.
Um, for instance, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which was a super popular game,
Yes.
came out over a decade ago, 2000
Hmm.
or something like that.
Is that the one that had
They
Kevin Spacey in it?
did it?
Is the
I
I
don't
know the
remember.
very first game
Been a
I ever
while.
played was where I recognized the voice of the character and was like, oh, that's it was whatever Call of Duty
Really?
Kevin Spacey was in,
So
and I
I'm
just
not a
remember being
huge
like,
Call of
that
Duty
is.
guy, so I
Yeah, I
don't
remember
know.
being excited, and ever since then, I started paying so much more attention and trying to figure out who people are if you don't know for sure.
I would like to state that Kevin Spacey is no longer a popular Hollywood
Yeah.
celebrity anymore. Just putting it out there.
So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, it had cost about $50 million to
Oh wow.
develop, but they spent $200 million in marketing, just in marketing the game.
So that's
Yeah,
on top
So
of the 50 million just to develop
that's
it.
on top of the 50 million. So in
Wow.
total,
jeez.
about $250 million. But
Mm,
you're talking about a vast difference in
Yeah.
price of how much it costs to make the video game versus
yeah.
how much they are marketing the video game, right? That is a lot of money just put into
Hmm.
marketing. And you're paying a lot of money for that marketing, right? You're not just paying for the developer.
Yeah.
You're paying for them
Right.
to market that video game. Any
Mhm.
commercials, any marketing deals that they do, that comes at a cost to the gamers. And
Yeah.
you have to say, hey, is that justifiable? There's another we can take another one apart that kind
Okay.
of shows the opposite. One of the most expensive games in the world was Cyberpunk
Ah,
2077,
wonderful game.
which like stumbled. Oops, sorry. Which stumbled off the gate with their launch, right?
Mm.
But
Yep.
after they got all their bugs fixed, everything, it was a great game. I loved the game, but it cost them $174 million to develop that game.
Woo.
Um,
Wow.
it was a long time coming for them, CD Projekt Red.
I was in development for a long time too because a
Yeah,
lot of people were like, when? And CD Projekt was
right.
like, we're not releasing it anytime soon. You gotta wait. And people waited years. And
Yes.
then yeah,
Wow.
And that's probably why the development cost was so high,
absolutely.
because it was in development for so long.
Wait, I
Yeah.
want to know the marketing cost of this.
So the
So if it's
marketing cost,
170,
it wasn't. It was actually lower. It was 142 million.
oh, wow.
But let's say that's about 80%
Mm.
of the development cost. You were talking about almost half, or
Yeah.
almost 100% of the development cost
Mhm.
was delegated to marketing the product. And so that,
Mm.
like, half and half, that's crazy for
Yeah. But
me.
I guess a lot
For
of
one of
people
the most expensive games in the world.
anticipated the game beforehand as well, especially with, The Witcher 3's success. A lot of people were looking
Right.
forward to. So I guess they didn't have to spend as much on marketing. Well, I wouldn't say as much. That's still
That's still a whole lot.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. In total, it was $316 million
Yeah, that's a
for
lot of
that
money.
game.
Oh, whew.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I wonder how much they made off, I mean, all the purchases of the game
Oh,
in
like in
comparison to what
sales?
yeah.
Oh, I haven't looked at that, but I'm sure they
That'd
made
be
a killing.
interesting.
I'm pretty sure
Oh,
they
I
did
bet.
for that.
Well,
No,
I've heard of
absolutely.
that game a lot. I've never played it, but I hear about
Oh, I
that
highly
game a
recommend it.
lot, so
Like,
I know it's very
yeah,
popular.
I highly recommend it. Amazing music. I love the music in that game.
Yeah.
The soundtracks are amazing. It's so much fun. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend playing
I've seen some
Cyberpunk
gameplay. It looks like a
whenever
good
it goes on
time.
sale. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the main question I want to pose to you guys is do you think the cost of the video games increasing to that $70 mark, which they're trying to push, right? Like right now, I think I would say it's $60, right? If you
Mhm.
were buying like a brand new game, it'd probably be about $60. Do
Mhm.
you think it to $70? Do you think it's justifiable to pay that $70? Is that a good price from the developer and publishers' perspectives, and the consumers' perspectives? Also, like if you're listening as a listener,
Yeah.
I also want you to kind of like tell us: do you think that's a
Yeah.
justifiable price to increase it $10-20?
And to the listeners, if you are thinking of something or if you know of another thing that we're not considering when having this conversation, let us know, educate us, because I have no idea what all it would take to go or what all would go into developing and getting a video game ready to for us for launch and then for the marketing part of it. I have no idea. So I feel like there's got to be things that maybe we just don't know because we're not in that business. So I'm curious if you know of anything, share with
Yeah.
us.
Write a comment, send us an email, get in contact with us.
No, absolutely.
So let me ask you guys. All
yeah.
right, what do you think, Jock? What do you think?
Justifiable? Yes and no. It's a gray area for me. I can't make a judgment call on this because now that I see it clearly, now that we've compared statistical data, and now that we look at 49.99, 1995 was a lot more money than it is today because when you do dollar to dollar value and you see how the inflation numbers have gone up, and 59.99 is the average price now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
With the cost of inflation, the price of game going up by $10 does not break your bank as much because if you're buying one game a month, it's still understandable that the price has gone up because you're gonna look at it this way, right? $1 per hour. I spent $50 on Assassin's Creed. I've already got 150 hours out of it. So you go to the theater and you spend a lot more money on popcorn for watching a movie for 2.5 hours than an amount of time I've spent on one game that I spent $50 for. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So in terms of getting the entertainment per hour, I think the game paid for itself. It did give me the time and the enjoyment that I needed. What people think, I don't know. Like Zach and Kat said, get in our comments, promote our video. We would like to reach a bigger audience here. We would like to know what other gamers think, if they agree with us, if they disagree with us. If you have any interjections, if you have any suggestions, if you'd like us to talk about a certain topic on our platform, we would love to hear from you.
What do you think, Kat?
I agree with Jock. I am now going to start paying attention to how much I'm paying for games because the question's never been posed, so I've never really thought this hard about it. But there are definitely some games that I was willing to pay for full price. Warhammer being one that came out and just was not ready. It just had a lot of glitches and things like that. So I do wonder if the cost is worth it in some situations. So
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of torn. Like when I see the numbers of how much they actually put into the development of the game
yeah.
versus how much is going into marketing or
Mhm.
IP or other different things, like I sometimes I'm like, is this justifiable if I have to pay an extra $10 for this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
yeah,
sometimes that cinematic trailer, the graphics there will look so different than the
oh,
actual game when it
Absolutely.
comes out, and it just makes me
Never
go,
believe it. Never
they
believe
put
it.
a lot of money into this 2-minute trailer for the
Absolutely.
graphics to look that different."
Absolutely did it. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of our podcast episode for today.
yeah.
Yeah,
What do
thanks
you
for
what do you
joining us.
guys I was gonna say, what are you guys gonna play before we leave?
I'm gonna. I don't know. I'm probably gonna continue playing Assassin's Creed and finish that because
Gotcha.
I think that's I need to do that. It's about time.
How about you,
Very
Kat?
nice. I'm going to have a mix of Hogwarts, and then when it sounds like my computer is going to explode from it, I'm going to play Fortnite.
I've been like super into Total War Warhammer 3 recently with the boys on our
Nice.
Discord.
Nice.
So I'll probably
Yeah,
be
that's been fun
nerding
to
out
watch.
with that.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Mhm.
So that's our episode. Please tell us what you think if you have any comments and stuff. You guys are always welcome to email us at player2startpodcast@gmail.com, or you guys can give us a comment on our YouTube channel. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Yep. Thanks for
Bye.
listening. Bye.